Nebuchadnezzar. We talked about his dream last week, and he had two dreams. So I want to talk about the second dream today, and then we'll do the questions, because the second dream is almost just, it's so simple. It's, we can read it in Daniel, but it just is almost self-explanatory. I can't understand why the Chaldeans, he calls his wise men into his throne. I had another dream, and this time he doesn't tell them, you tell me the dream and what does it mean. He made it easy for them. This is the dream, what does it mean? And they couldn't do it. And it's pretty obvious. I mean, you read the dream, what they described in the dream, it just, I don't know. Maybe God blocked them. I don't know. I hear a whine there. So anyway, let's, Daniel 4, and we'll read the part, most of the chapter, and then we'll talk about the dream that he had. So Nebuchadnezzar, the king, to all the peoples, nations, and men of every language that live in all the earth, may your peace abound. Now this is Nebuchadnezzar writing, this is his statement, and it sounds kind of like, who is this guy? This is the one that hauls people away with fish hooks in their jaw and drags them and dismembers them and threatens to kill everybody. And he sounds very nice right here. Peace to all of everyone. And when he says men of every language that live in all the earth, this is basically his empire. He just about covers everything, the known world. So it seems good to me to declare the signs and wonders which the Most High God has done for me. How great are his signs and how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. His dominion is from generation to generation. The Most High God. So far you say, well, he learned his lesson. That first dream that Daniel explained to him, the statue, he told him, you're the head of gold. And now he's proclaiming God Most High is just great. He's just mighty. He's just dominion forever and ever. He has learned that from his first dream. It almost explains the first dream and what he said there. Well, he's had another dream. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at ease in my house, flourishing in my palace, and I saw a dream, and it made me fearful. And these fantasies, as I lay on my bed, and the visions in my mind kept alarming me. So I gave orders to bring into my presence all the wise men of Babylon, and that they may make known to me the interpretation of the dream. Then the magicians, the conjurers, the Chaldeans, and diviners came in. I related the dream to them, but they could not make its interpretation known to me. But finally Daniel come in before me, whose name is Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God, and in whom is the spirit of holy gods, and related the dream to him, saying, O Belteshazzar, chief of the magicians, since I know that a spirit of the holy gods is in you, and no mystery baffles you, tell me the visions of my dream, which I have seen, along with its interpretation. Now these were the visions in my mind as I lay on my bed. I was looking, and behold, there was a tree in the midst of the earth, and its height was great. The tree grew so large, it became strong, and its height reached the sky. And it was visible to the end of the whole earth. Its foliage was beautiful, and its fruit abundant, and in it was food for all. The beasts of the field found shade under it. The birds of the sky dwelt in its branches, and all living creatures fed themselves from it. I was looking in the visions in my mind as I lay on my bed, and behold, an angelic watcher, a holy one, descended from heaven. He shouted out and spoke as follows. Chop down the tree and cut off its branches. Strip off its foliage and scatter its fruit. Let the beasts flee from under it, and the birds from its branches. Yet leave the stump with its roots in the ground, but with a band of iron and bronze around it. In the new grass of the field let him be drenched with the dew of heaven, and let him share with the beast in the grass of the earth. Let his mind be changed from that of a man, and let a beast mind be given to him. Let 7 periods of time pass over him. This sentence is by the decree of the angelic watchers, and the decision is a command of the holy ones, in order that the living may know that the Most High is ruler over the realm of mankind, and bestows on it whom he wishes, and sets over its lowliest men. This is the dream which I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now you, Belshazzar, tell me its interpretation, insomuch as none of the wise men of my kingdom is able to make known to me the interpretation. But you are able, for a spirit of the holy gods is in you. That's the dream that he's had. Now, I read that, and I in my mind, I could see a sequoia, a tree, the biggest trees around anywhere. I just wanted it to come to my mind, but they don't produce fruit for all kinds of animals that I know of. Maybe they do. But anyway, this tree is gigantic. And I can almost see, that he thinks this tree is wonderful, and maybe I'm the tree. I don't know if he realized that yet or not at this point. But here there's this tree, and then the angel says, cut it down. Let everything get out from under it, get the tree, the birds out of it, the beast out from under it, cut it down. Now, I don't know how many of y'all cut trees down before. I know with a hurricane damaged a lot of trees on my property, and I think John and Kevin and I, we finished a tree that one in the back of the trailer there. It was split down the middle. We cut the thing off and hauled everything off, cleaned it up, and it's now a bush. It's not a tree now anymore. It's growing back out of the stump, because we left the stump there. I was going to grind it down later, but now the thing's 8 foot tall, and it's just a bushy looking tree, but it's still growing because we left the roots in the ground. It's determined it's going to live. Had a camphor tree in the backyard, cut it off flat to the ground, and now it's pushing back out. It's still got life in it. It still has roots. It will try its best to relive, to grow again and sprout and produce leaves and become a tree again. This is what, they said, we're going to leave the stump with its roots in the ground. Now, the thing that bothered me the most about this dream, and I kept wondering, what about that band of iron and bronze around it? What in the world? Why would you put a bronze or iron band around a stump? And apparently it's going to be a big stump because it's a huge tree. I kept thinking, why would they do that? So I started doing research on that specifically. 2 trains of thought on that. Anybody that want to put your 2 cents in right at this moment? Any comments about why you think, what would be the reason for a band of bronze and a band of iron around the stump?
Then they'll have new growth.
No new growth? Okay.
And they will kill the root.
You saying it would seal and restrict the growth?
Yeah, but it will also kill the root. If you put something around the trunk of it normally. I don't know what you're going at.
I don't know. That's why I started doing the research. Kevin, you got your hand up.
Does it have anything to do with outside trying to get to the main stump of the root?
Okay.
Protecting it from.
That's similar to something I read.
Protecting it from, like vines and overgrowth, attacking it and taking it over and.
Mm-hmm.
I think of a border, that there's been a border put around the tree, so nobody can get in or out from around.
It can't continue. Okay. Well, the things I looked up, and it was 2. One was, it was put on there for protection. I think it's similar to what Kevin's saying. It restricted, and it says the dew would fall on the tree, and it would be constantly wet every morning, dew fall on it. And this restriction would keep any, I don't know if you're familiar with what wood does, it's called checks, kind of like that front door being be regular looking at it. It's got a check in it, it's crack in it. The wood cracks, the moisture goes in, it starts rotting. Okay, if you put a band around that thing and tighten it down, it keeps all those little cracks from opening up, so it keeps the moisture out. So it kind of, in a way, preserves it. It guards against that intrusion. So that was one thought. The other thought was that it was a restriction. Okay, and that kind of goes to what Carrie said. It would keep any new growth, it restricts what's going to happen with that thing. And that would go with the fact that, or the thought train was that Nebuchadnezzar is going to lose his mind. He's going to be crazy as a loon for 7 years. They more than likely restricted his, you don't just let a crazy man run all through the country. You would restrict him, maybe bind him, chain him up until he gets right in his mind again. I mean, which is worse, to chain him up and keep him kind of secluded from the public eye, or just let him run free, crazy man? That's our king. Yeah, well, we have some politicians that way, but that's another story. We won't go into the politicians today. But if you got a crazy king, wouldn't it be better to kind of keep him out of sight? I think what I would want to do, you know. So there was two trains. The one is a restriction. You're not going to have, your free reign is over until you get your head screwed on straight again. So that was what I come up with from my investigations. So now let's read a little bit more, see what Daniel says. So let's see, where we stopped. Verse 19. Then Daniel, whose name is Belshazzar, was appalled for a while as his thoughts alarmed him. The king responded and said, Belshazzar, do not let the dream or its interpretation alarm you. Belshazzar replied, my lord, if only the dream applied to those who hate you and its interpretation to your adversaries. I think Daniel is already, he knows what it means. And it bothered him. This is not good. How do I tell the king you're going to go crazy? How do you tell the man that holds your life in his, just snap a finger, you're dead or alive? It doesn't, whatever he wants is what happens. How do you tell that man you're going to be crazy for 7 years? I think Daniel already knows the interpretation, because that's what he said. If only the dream applied to those who hate you and its interpretation to your adversaries. If they were the ones who were going to go crazy, it'd be better for you. I really don't want to tell you this, but he does. Now, I read one commentary, they said that was probably the reason the magicians, all the other wise men, I can't tell you this, I don't want to tell you. I think it was partly they knew what it meant, but they did not want to be the man to tell the king, you're going to lose it. I mean, that's kind of like a death wish, to tell that man, you're going to be crazy for 7 years and live like an animal. Get him out of here. Let's execute that man. He didn't say what I wanted to hear for sure. Because it's a simple dream. It seemed like it's self-explanatory. Why wouldn't they understand this thing? And they didn't want to tell him. That was one of the commentaries that I read. So here is Daniel. He knows what it means. He said, man, I wish it was going to your enemies, not you. But this is what the thing said. The tree that you saw, which became large and grew strong, whose height reached to the sky and was visible to all the earth, and whose foliage was beautiful, and its fruit abundant, and in which was food for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and in whose branches the birds of the sky lodged. It is you, O king, for you have become great and grown strong. I'm thinking right now, I'm thinking, man, I like that dream. That sounds good. I'm the tree, and it's beautiful, and it's great, and it feeds everybody, and yeah, that's what's so bad about that, Daniel. I can almost see his head swelling when he told him that part. But there's more. It is you, O king, for you have become great and grown strong. Your majesty has become great and reached to the sky, your dominion to the end of the earth. In that the king saw an angelic watcher, the Holy One, descending from heaven and saying, chop down the tree and destroy it, yet leave the stump with its roots in the ground, but with a band of iron and bronze around it. In the new grass of the field, let him be drenched with the dew of heaven, and let him share with the beasts of the field until 7 periods of time pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which has come upon my Lord the king. You will be driven away from mankind, and your dwelling place will be with the beasts of the field. You will be given grass to eat like cattle and drenched with the dew of heaven. 7 periods of time will pass over you until you recognize that the Most High is ruler over the realm of mankind and bestows on it whomever he wishes. And in that it was commanded to leave the stump with the roots of the tree. Your kingdom will be assured to you after you recognize that it is heaven that rules. Therefore, O king, may my advice be pleasing to you. Break away now from your sins by doing righteousness, and from your iniquities by showing mercy on the poor, in case there may be a prolonging of your prosperity. So he tells him what the dream meant. He didn't like it. He knew what it meant, and I don't want to tell you this. I got some good news and bad news. You're the tree. It's great, it's beautiful, but you're going to go crazy. Bad news. God has said this, and he gives him an out. Break away from your sins by doing righteousness, and from your iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, in case there might be a prolonging of your prosperity. God gives him an out. This is what you got a chance. And I believe we read on in there, 12 months later, a year later. It took a year. It caught up with him. See, the man can change a little bit, but until you truly change 100%, it's still there. And a year later, he's walking around his palace looking at Babylon that I built for my pleasure and my glory, and look what I've done. I. Kind of sound like people today. Me. And at that moment, you're out of here. God put him there. God took him out. And here he is. He's been given a year. He's had time. But he hasn't changed 100%. It's still about me. You know, I missed an opportunity at work. And they were starting a new power plant. They were going to man this thing differently, and it was you had to do an interview to get the job. It wasn't based on seniority, even though it was a union. Had an interview. You had to do an interview with the 2 engineers, and they went by what your answers were, whether they wanted you or not. And one of the questions was, what have you done that proves you're a good employee and all that? And no, I worked with a group of welders welding in the power plant, and I worked with one of the best groups of welders that the power plant had. We were, and I don't make it sound like me again, but it was an elite bunch of guys. And that's all they did. They went from power plant to power plant welding on boards. That's all we did. So we got good at it. And I thought, well, we're pretty good. The welders in the power plant can do the same thing. Till one night we put a group of power plant welders on one part of the tube, and we're up above them welding on the other half of the tube. And it's the same job. It's just 2 different ends. They're 30 or 40 foot apart. And we go in and we finish our job, and we're pulling out. We hadn't even started down here. Well, what have y'all been doing? We're finished up here. Because we did it every day. It was just like breathing. And I didn't realize there was that big a difference to what they did. They didn't do it every day. We did it every day. So that was an elite bunch. That's all they did. Well, they're shutting that power plant down. They're going to open a new power plant, and it's all by I keep saying invitation, but it was interview. So they asked me, what have you done? I haven't done anything. I work with a crew. I'm part of a crew. I didn't get that job because I found out later I didn't paint a big enough picture about me. So I didn't get the job. I said, well, it's not about me. And if you're going to be a Christian, it's never about me. It's always trying to help the other person. When you make it about you, you become this man right here, Nebuchadnezzar. Look what I've done. It's all about me. I don't care if you're the best preacher in the country. It's still not about you. It's always about the Word, God. You know, we're way down the level here. So this is Nebuchadnezzar. It's all about him. And people today need to learn that lesson. It's not all about you. We've got kinfolks that are the same way. It's all about me. Until you learn that lesson, you've got a big obstacle. Just like Nebuchadnezzar, he had a big obstacle in the way between him and God, and it was himself. You got to get rid of yourself first. Look what Jesus did. Look what Jesus did. He left heaven. Was that Philippians? Where he emptied himself, gave up heaven, became a servant, even to the point of death on a cross. That's our example. We got to give up ourselves. We got to, it's not about me. If until you get to that point, you're just playing. So here he is. He's been told. A year later, it happens. It's still about me. And yeah, it's look in verse 34 of chapter 4 there. It said, the end of that period, I raised my eyes toward heaven and reasoned. No, that's the wrong one. Back up. 12 months, verse 28. This all happened to Nebuchadnezzar the king. 12 months later, he was walking on the roof of the royal palace in Babylon. The king reflected and said, Is this not Babylon the Great, which I myself have built as a royal residence, that by the might of my power and for the glory of my majesty? While the words were still in his mouth, a voice came from heaven, saying, King Nebuchadnezzar, to you is declared, sovereignty had been removed from you. And you will be driven away from mankind, for your dwelling place will be with the beasts of the field. You will be given grass to eat like cattle. 7 periods of time will pass over you until you recognize that the Most High is ruler over the realm of mankind and bestows on it whomever he wishes. Immediately the word concerning Nebuchadnezzar was fulfilled, and he was driven away from his palace from mankind. Began eating grass like cattle, and his body was drenched with the dew of heaven until his hair was grown like eagle's feathers and his nails like bird's claws. It didn't take long. 12 months and it's over, because he's still full of himself. I don't care how good you are. I don't care what job you do. I don't care how good you are. There's always somebody a little better. Even when I worked with that bunch, I wasn't one of the better welders. I was mediocre. Leo was always telling me my welding hasn't improved, but my grinding has really improved. I'm always, So that's the truth. I can make a weld look good, but it takes a grinder to get it there. But I wasn't the greatest. I was good enough I could keep up with them. When I first made welder, and Mike Kelly, he was a little short guy. They put me with him. This guy's been doing it for years. I'm right at it. I've just passed my test. I won the bid. I'm a welder, and I'm getting the same pay this guy's getting. And we're welding a tube where the tubes are like this far off the floor. It's easy. We're standing, he's on one side, I'm on the other side. You weld tubes together, it's a buddy weld. You have one weld machine with a Y in the cable, and he has a whip with a welding rod in it. I have a whip with it. It's the same machine. So he starts a weld around that tube. It's continuous. It never stops. You weld around. I stick my welding rod over there, and he gets there, I pick it up, and I come around, and he picks it up, and he comes around, and I pick it up, and you get finished after 3 passes, you have a pretty good looking weld if you're real good. And well, he gets finished, I'm still chipping stuff, and he's over there like this waiting on me. And I look at him, I'm hurrying, all I can hurry, I'm fidgeting, I'm dropping things, my hands don't know what I need to be. I've done this before, I passed the test, I'm getting the same money that he's over there like, he's waiting. Because he's been doing it forever. I wasn't even close. 7 years later, I could keep up with him, but not that day. I wasn't even close. That's what we have to realize. It doesn't matter how good you are, there's somebody better than you. Doesn't matter haircutting, there's somebody better than you somewhere. You know, look at musicians. They may be on the number one hit of the land. Give it a couple of weeks. Somebody else will be number one. It's just, that's the way it is. Doesn't matter how good you are. Somebody is better. And that's something he needed to learn. Nebuchadnezzar needed to learn that. But he was on top. But he had to learn God's still above him. And that's where we need to learn. God is still above us. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's see. So, one thing that did jump out of the dream that was told, in verse 15, it changes from a stump. Let's read it. It changes who he's referring to, just like that. Verse 15 of chapter 4 says, leave the stump with its roots in the ground, but with a band of iron around it. In the new grass of the field, let him. It just went from a stump to him. Just one sentence. It says, now let him be drenched with dew of heaven. And then it continues on. Let him share the beast with the beast of the field. Let his mind be changed. It went from cut the tree down, it's going to be a stump, we're going to put a band around it. Now let him. It got personal right there. Let him. He went from the tree to being the king. So that was one of the things that jumped out at me. It changed right there. And that's where Daniel, he says, man, this is not going to be good. Just tell the man that got my life in his hand that he's going to lose his mind 7 years. How do we know it wasn't 7 months or 7 days or I guess it was 7 weeks? I read it online, but it's also in the book right here, page 95. At the very bottom there, the second picture of his kingdom as a tree cut down. Daniel told the kingdom is departed from you, and they shall drive you from men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They'll make you eat grass like oxen, and 7 times will pass over you until you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he chooses. The king was driven from men, and the prophecy fulfilled in Daniel 4:31 and 33. A clay tablet in the British Museum describes Nebuchadnezzar's behavior during his insanity. There's no record of acts or decrees by the king from 582 to 575. If you do the math, that's 7 years. There's no business decrees, there's no laws made, there's nothing that come out of the palace, the king's throne. Nothing was done for 7 years. And that's not Bible history, that's archaeological history. And I read that online, and it also was in the book here. So it's just like, I've always wondered, well, was it 7 weeks or 7 months? I mean, that's enough time to spend outside living like an animal. No, it's 7 years. 7 years, because there's nothing being written. There's nothing coming out. That's like Washington, D.C. shut down for 7 years. No senators, no minutes of the meeting, no business, no president for 7 years. And this is what they've got here. There's a gap. Nothing happened. Yes, ma'am.
I wonder so he had the mind of a beast, but at the end of that time, he gave glory to God. So it just makes me wonder if his mental, his mentally being an animal somehow helped him understand his connection with God. I just wonder how that being an animal caused him to glorify God. Was it because animals, even though they don't think like we do, maybe they have an understanding about the Creator?
Yep, I wondered about that too, because, what does a dog think? I tell my dog all the time, you're a dumb animal, you don't think, when I pat him on the head. What are you doing? What are you thinking? Nothing. I'm hungry, feed me, pat me on the head. There was, and I hate to even bring it up, but there was a study. Yes, sir.
I've got two comments from Leo. One of them is about the time frame here. He said nails like bird claws and hair like feathers takes more than just a few months.
True.
And then going back to the iron and bronze bands around the stump, he says, I think it was to hold his kingdom together so he would have something to come back to.
Yep. And it said that your kingdom will be assured to you when you figure it out. But one comment I would say, when you're on the bottom, there's only one way to look. That's up. And that's when he finally looked up to heaven and realized. Now, whether he had, it's kind of like dementia people or Alzheimer, they lose the ability to communicate, but I don't know how much is it's like being trapped inside, you can't get it out. I don't know. So maybe he was that way. He couldn't respond to somebody, but he had his mind inside, and he's living like a beast. I don't know. But the fact is that nothing happened in his kingdom for 7 years. No new laws were made. There's no minutes there. It's just a missing period of time. And everybody says that kind of points to 7 years, like the Bible said. So 7 years living like an animal. Now, I will say, years ago I read a thing, or I saw it on YouTube, about one of the gorillas that had learned sign language. And the lady that was more or less caregiver or caretaker, whatever, that taught him the sign language. They had conversations, basically. He had a kitten, or she, I don't remember if it was a male or a female gorilla, had a kitten that the gorilla named Ball, because it little round. You've heard this also, haven't you? But one of the things that struck me was the fact when it got old and got sickly, the gorilla wanted to know what's next. And that makes you think, what do animals, if you can communicate to somebody, you could express that thought. What after I die, what happens? Do animals have souls? Well, it says all the animals that were saved on the ark, and I think they named it as souls, but they don't have spirits like we have. But I don't know. Maybe Rover will go to heaven. I don't know. But it was just thought, the gorilla making a comment, what happens after I die? And that's pretty deep thought for an animal to ask somebody if they're able to communicate. I guess it's just something that run through my mind when I was doing this class, about animals. How much do you understand? Or is it just one way blocked where I can't communicate to you? That would be even worse, to know I'm living like this and I can't get out of it. And that would, in a sense, that would fit the punishment for being fully yourself, basically. Knowing I'm living like this, they know, look how people think of me, what are they saying to me? But I can't say anything back. I'm stuck in this, inside of this body that's living like an animal, but I know better, but I can't help myself. I don't, man.
Well, the whole time he was king, he felt independent enough that he had no dependence on God. As an animal, he did. That's something that God showed him, is you're not all what you think you are, and now you depend on me for your life, for your grass that you're eating for, I mean, he couldn't make his own way anymore. Like,
What you said is very true, but it might have even been because it said he ate grass like an ox. Well, an ox could eat grass when it's given to it. You know, like an ox in a barn. He could have been depending on somebody else to feed him. So that's even worse. I'm depending on that man that I used to belittle because he was my servant. Now he's feeding me and God. You know, either way, both of them. So he's gone all the way to the bottom. You got to look up. And that's when he looked up and realized God is in control. I'm not as good as I think I am. We've got to come to that point ourselves, sir.
One of the things, I wonder what was running through his mind of all the things that convinced him, but I think we all should really be amazed, especially in that time, but it's still true today. If you're king, look over your shoulder everywhere you go. There's always someone trying to kill you and become the next king. 7 years pass, and he's in this vulnerable position. Nobody kills him. Nobody takes over. He's still right. So while he proved to Nebuchadnezzar that I can take away everything from you and turn you into a beast, he also proved I am the one in charge, because if I wasn't, you know so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so would step in. I'm keeping them from doing that.
That would go back to the iron band.
That's exactly right.
You're my protection.
Which, by the way, I think is around the roots. It's not just around the stump. It's around, maybe one's on the root and one's around the roots and one's on the stump, but nevertheless, it keeps everything from coming in to the kingdom.
I even had a thought, I just couldn't make it work in my head. The iron band, well, that statue he saw had iron legs and the bronze belly.
Right.
And that was two kingdoms. I thought to myself, how does that, I just couldn't make that work in my head, but it was a thought that run through my head. The iron and the bronze are the two kingdoms coming after him.
That's right.
So, you know, I don't know. The main thing is, know your place. You know that you can't save yourself. That's, you know, you can't, until you realize God is in control, I am really nothing. There, you're not going to be in front of God and be able to stand in front. You can't stand in front of God. That's where Jesus comes into play. You can't stand in front of God. Look what I did. I'm good. That goes back where we're going to talk about next Sunday to Cornelius. The good of guys you want to be. You had your hand up?
Now, Leo said the ability to reason is the key to human intellect. Verses 34 and 36, reason returned to him.
There's a lot to be said for the man. He made bricks that had his name embossed in it and put it in all the cities that he had built. It was me, me, me. Until we learned that that's not going to work, we're doing this. We're not much smarter than he was.
Brandon,
Yes.
one of Skip's favorite songs was All of Self, None of Thee.
Yeah.
How each verse switches, and it's like this. You know, it's like know your place and know where we are in the bigger scheme of things. You know, we can be the most famous, most most powerful, the richest, whatever, but we're gonna die too, and we're minuscule compared to God.
And we need to look around us. These people right here have your back. It doesn't, people will use you. People will take advantage of you. And sometimes we're just too blind to see it. People will use us and take advantage of this group here. We've all got the same goal. We want to go to heaven. Do we want everybody else to go? Yes. Can we force them to go? No. But I'm not going to take advantage of it. There's people out there that will take advantage of, they'll take advantage of little kids, they'll take advantage of old people, they'll take advantage of, well, I guess I am an old person now. But anyway, yes, there are people out there that will take advantage of you. You think Nebuchadnezzar didn't have people in his palace? Oh man, the man's crazy. We can take care of that. God prevented that. You know, there's stories in the Old Testament about kings being killed by their sons so they can take over. There's stories of mothers killing all the kids except one son so he can be king. So it's not like, oh, that's just Old Testament. This is something that went on. There's looking the other countries that are in the world today. People are in power maybe because dad passed away and I took over, or maybe I took over and dad passed away. Conveniently. So there's things out there that go on right now that went on then. If you look around you and see, you know, you can pick your friends. I've said it before when I was working, you have a group of guys, you don't have to be buddies with every one of them. You may not any of them be Christians, but you can pick the best one of the bunch to be your friend. You can choose your friends. You can't choose your family, can you? So yes. That's the end of Nebuchadnezzar. We didn't do the questions, but we'll leave it with that. I appreciate comments and the questions and everything, so we'll turn it over to Greg later.